Principal ideas to manage shallow hips. First, knees wide. With knees wide of the body, the muscles around the hips tend to pull the ball deep to the center of the hip socket, thus avoiding damage to the rim of the socket. Therefore, do high load strength work with knees wide. Principal idea 2. Strengthen the short muscles. The short muscles behind the hip joint and also on the inner thigh should be strengthened and massaged and mobilized on a regular basis. Principal idea 3. Pain-free but active. And just pause the video and you can read through those ideas. And also things that might work for if someone has a shallow hip socket. And I think most of us haven't got a shallow hip socket, but the same exercises are really good for strong, healthy muscles around a hip joint. Down and up. Strong calf and foot muscles. The foot muscles are getting a strength workout as well. Down and up. So supposing we wanted to turn this into something that might be a little kinder on a shallow hip socket. So with the thigh bones, they're actually in the wide of the body position, and the muscles are in better position to keep the ball centered in the hip socket. That's what we're looking at. So if you've got really bomb-proof, well-formed hip sockets, you really don't have to worry about it, and that's a blessing. But this is still something you can feel there's still a lot of work happening there. So supposing we just come on to one, and we can do a little bit of side to side anyway. If we take the knees a little bit wider, we've still got that thighs wide of the body. The muscles are beginning to pull horizontally and not upwards around the hip socket. Actually, that's quite nice, up and down a little bit. I'm not letting the heels go too low there. Supposing I just take those footstills away, because you can do the similar thing here. It looks like troll dance. Now, yeah, so do, like send your knees out wide, like really bandy-legged. And if you can find something comfortable with that, well, good. Now, I've got another something which looks like warrior pose. So the theme here is that the thigh bones are not vertical or directly under the hip joint. They're out the side of the body and a little bit forwards. Perfect. Supposing we take that into, now if we go like this, and this could be a weight bar with some weights on it, but it doesn't have to be. And this is archer squat. Yeah, and I'm just going to take one hand off. But that's reminding me to keep the movement in line with the stick, that's right. And yeah, I think you can see that the legs are a little bit away from the center line of the body. That's what we're looking at. That's helping the muscles pull more horizontally rather than pulling up and forcing the ball out the top of the hip socket. But standard hips don't need to worry. But the thing that I want you to think about here is this foot here. Push into the big ball of the toe and the big toe, so that knee stays back. It's not sort of, I'll go side on. So there we go, pushing into that big toe side. So you're not sort of, it'll feel so uncomfortable that you won't do it. And this is the beauty. If you want to strengthen up your foot, I can get people to do an archer squat, which is a really neat thing to strengthen up glutes and do some really good, appropriate, strengthen up the rotation muscles here. Oh, it's got a name. So in what style of sport is it? Shokan karate. We can go the other side. Cool, so it's got a name. So can you feel like it really, you have to make it comfortable for that knee over foot. You're pushing quite strongly into the big toe and the ball of the big toe. into that instep side of the foot. Can you feel that? And you might be pushing into all your toes. In fact, the pads of toes, the mid toes and the balls of toes. And so, right, we'll just come on to standing on one leg with the heel off the ground. Now I'm going to suggest that you could even just lean into the wall a bit and try and keep the leg vertical. And again, that's the leg a little bit out away from the center of the line of the body. I mean, ordinarily it'd be leg parallel with the center line of the body, but if we take it over, you might like to try that a little and just, then you can. I'm not going to do that too long because I've had a fair bit of that already. I'm going to go the other side. So standard thinking, you've got the movement just like that, the little toe tap. If you want to make it a little more challenging, you reach out further, but I'm doing a little toe tap. And if I wanted to think about maybe just help with a shallow hip socket, I'll lean my body over so that the legs away from the center line. There we go. I'll just do another 15 seconds of that. All right, lean into the wall like I want to put my head into the wall like a cat and a noogie in the wall. Is that noogie? You know, cats rub their heads on walls and things. That would be the sort of movement you might choose to do. Nearly there. Right, put the mat out. Let's just do some of the basic Pilates. And we just got a Pilates 100. I'm going to just take the feet touching together and the knees a little wider. See, just if I go like that, you can see that. And what has happened is that makes the thigh bone rotate, so, and we say that's outward rotation. And in another 5 seconds, I'm going to readjust these legs. I'm going to take them and do my best to take the toes, the feet wider than the knees. That's not really going too far for me anyway. And because we like a bit of variety, we could take both feet, point them to the left, point them to the right, point them to the left. We'll be going snowboarding soon. And I think I might put the hands behind the head and just try that, and that really finds the icky spots in front of my less than perfect hip joint. But that's all right, it's still, it's a good thing to be doing. Single leg assisted roll up, long on the mat. So single leg assisted roll up, knee up, hands behind the knee, up and over like a breaking wave. Long through the body, the horseshoe shape. Touch the knees, tall like a wall, and down we go. When we're flat to the mat, we'll just knee up and hands to knee. Let's have the tall like a wall. This is a good arm exercise. And just alternate knees. If you're feeling confident with that, you get that little pause in horseshoe shape, you're lengthening through the curve from the hips, the chest, the neck, the head. And there you've got a lengthening on the straight like a wall. Down we go. Now let's just let you carry on for another 15 seconds or so. This is one where you can really get into your lengthening in all sorts of shapes. Another 15 seconds. So for the single leg circles, I've got a stick handy. Well, let's just make the leg go around, and then just use two hands on the stick and make that go around too. So it's like two hands staring a big stick in a part, and then you can change direction. This makes it a little less stable because your both elbows are off the ground. That shouldn't be a worry. We can just switch over and just round. Yep. And this really finds out which leg I'm less stable on, which is a really good thing. Why am I less stable on one side? Because I have a slight S-bend in my spine, a scoliosis. So it's a little less stable on one side. Now, if I work on being stable on my not so stable side, the spine will get stronger, the back will get stronger on the weak side. And now I'm a little more stable. We'll change direction. And so if you found one side was less stable, like you tend your leg out the side, you fall over to the side, well, you know, well, you work on being stable, you're getting stronger on that side of your back.